Welcome back. In this module, we will discuss choosing a Microsoft 365 extensibility development path. We indicated that I can have a very low customization or high customization. So let's talk about why the extensibility for Copilot. Let's talk about which path of the extensibility we should choose. Let's talk about the development approach that we should take. And also, let's talk about the tools. Which tools will be best for my agent? And finally, we are going to look at the extensibility. A few companies that have done this. What can we learn from them? And finally, we are going to look at the security to ensure there's privacy related to that. By the end of this module, we will know how to customize Microsoft 365 Copilot. We're going to understand the development tools. We're going to ensure that data privacy and security is there. And we'll also cover choosing the right approach, the development tools, as we mentioned, and of course, the extensibility options for our resources. When it comes to deciding your approach for your AI development, there are many options that we need to consider, including Microsoft 365 extensibility options, as we mentioned before. Also, I can look at AI solutions. I know I have my models, I have my training, I have my workload, I have my data. I want to customize using machine learning. So Copilot is already there. I can just extend that capability. So in this module, we will review options for extending the Copilot assistant, right? So we're going to look at this extensibility, identifying the most suitable solution for us for the Copilot based on our specific needs and our goals. Extending Microsoft 365 Copilot allows developers to leverage the entire Copilot ecosystem. You can write once, and you can run anywhere. And now your end users will also benefit from this. They are going to stay within their workflow. They already know this. So while the business, decision makers, and IT admins can confidently manage the technology. Also, agents are part of the broader ecosystem, so enhancing this discoverability and automation reach that we can achieve. Agents can be extended using plugins and connectors for various use cases. Example we mentioned before includes the IT help desk, real-time customer support project management, product inventory management, also image creation or marketing campaigns. There are many ways for us to extend those agents. Agents, plugins, connectors are part of the Microsoft 365. User prompts are processed into natural language results. Now, data is used in batch prompts. When we look at the Microsoft 365 Copilot, let's look at this architecture. We see that the Copilot system, where the agents, the plugins, the connectors, these are part of the overall Microsoft 365. So the prompts that I'm going to execute are going to go through this process. Before the LLM or the large language model take it, we notice that I may have a graph connector. I may have other resources that provide my data. Let's take an example on this architecture. Let's say, for example, I have a prompt that I want to execute. Supposedly, I want to summarize an email. I want to summarize a meeting that I just received. So I will write my prompt, and here I am. I am going to ask Copilot, I want to summarize this meeting. The request is going to go to Copilot. First, Copilot is going to ask Microsoft Graph. There's a Graph plugin, right? There's a connection. It says, oh, by the way, this meeting that I attended yesterday, or that I didn't attend, but in this case, I have a meeting that I attended. That meeting, bring me the information about that meeting. So he knows, because it's connected to the graph, is grounded on my data, it knows about my meeting. It brings the information. And now I can pass that information to the large language model to do its magic, summarize the content, do other things about that meeting. And then the result is going to be sent back to me in the prompt, right? So we begin to see that the Copilot ecosystem is in there with the agents, the large language model, the components. I also see that agent utilization, right? The batching. I may have multiple executions that are going to take place at the same time. So when I create these agents, I will leverage this ecosystem. I will look at the complexity. I need to decide how complex this environment is going to be for me. What additional plugins, what additional actions, what additional components needs to be brought in so I can execute and automate my processes. So now that we see from this architecture, let's take a look at which path are we going to choose for this extensibility. Now, deciding whether to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot or to build custom agents, this is going to be the very important aspect. If I want to build a declarative agent, I can see that I'm going to leverage the orchestrator. We just saw what the orchestrator is. I can look at the API plugins. So in this case, using Copilot for services, I'm going to leverage the models, the same orchestration, custom agents, or specific models. And of course, I'm going to work at this. It depends on the service, independent services that I have used. Now, if I want to build a custom engine agent, this is going to be a little bit different, right? Now I'm talking about maybe there is an LLM. I want to be able to customize, be more specific. Maybe there are specific AIs that I want to be able to support on this. Also, I can look at independent from Copilot 365. This is going to be assembled separately, does not require Microsoft 365 licenses. Now, I did mention about using Copilot before. I'm going to give you an example of how we can leverage Copilot to help us make this decision. Let's take a look. Here we are back in Copilot. I have a prompt that I have created that will ask Copilot to help us make this decision. My prompt is very simple. As an expert in Microsoft Copilot, help me choose between a declarative agent and a custom engine agent for my project. Provide an easy-to-understand table making this definition. Let's see how Copilot is going to help us determine that. So when I ask Copilot for this table, it is going to tell us there are some critical components or line items that I need to verify. First, we are going to look at the purpose, right? If I want to simply enhance Microsoft 365 with custom knowledge, I am going to use a declarative agent. If I want to create a fully customized agent tailored for a specific enterprise need, I am going to use a custom engine agent. Integration, it integrates with Microsoft 365 if it is a declarative agent. If it is a custom agent, it can be standalone. That is a plus right there. So we need to make a decision. What about customization? Well, if I'm going to use actions, triggers, workflows, and connectors, but if I am going to use a custom agent, now I'm going to use the use case based on what? Custom foundation models or orchestrations. So I need to play for that. What about development tools? We're going to touch on those as well. Well, Copilot Studio, Power Platform connectors, API plugins make it easy for low-code or no-code implementation. But if I want to customize my agents, I'm going to use the Teams toolkit. I'm going to use Microsoft Copilot or even Studio, right? Use the AI Foundry. It used to be called AI Studio. Now it's Azure AI Foundry. So you can see that there is a distinct difference between a declarative agent, low code, no code, or I have a custom engine agent. Use cases also will vary. If I look at the use case, I have a specialized knowledge area, right? Role-specific tasks that I want to do. I mentioned HR or help desk. or enhancing capabilities. It's already there. Let's make it even better. As opposed to if I go to a custom agent, provide AI support or independent services that I want AI to reason over that data. And I have some example scenarios, right? AGR assistant, for example, we mentioned that, or custom chatbots. So we leverage Copilot to help us make a decision as to which path we want to take. Now, if we look at the benefits of this extensibility, extending Microsoft 365 Copilot for our enterprise users really offers several of those benefits, right? It integrates the service what the customers already know. So they are familiar with that interface. The Microsoft ecosystem is already there. So it's going to boost that productivity, right, with the AI solution. I will also provide personalized user experience using Microsoft Graph. And of course, I can also utilize RAG approach, data source. Remember, RAG stands for Retrieval Augment Generation. It's basically a way to say, talk to my own data. And I can have graph connectors to be able to enhance this connectivity and this discussion. I can also have my SharePoint or my Dataverse connectivity. That's also ways to enhance my connectivity. With Azure AI Services, we can build a custom AI chatbot for Teams, for example, Microsoft 365, custom engine agents. They're going to operate as what we call the BYOM, bring your own model. So if you're using the GPT or if I'm using a custom agent that I want to leverage as my primary language, the base model, I can do that, right? So in that case, we are going to see this is independent from Microsoft 365 Copilot. And there is benefits to that. We did mention, right? It can be more deterministic in terms of the workflow, can have more customization in terms of citation, what I want to do. And tenant specific can also be important. So if we look at this, the capability of our integration and our building capabilities, if I want to simply extend my Copilot capability, let's look at what Copilot just informed us. I have actions that I can do. We also mentioned in terms of knowledge, Microsoft Graph. I have additional semantic grounding capability, but I'm not completely changing that. I will also look at the workflow, custom prompt interactions, or orchestration, Microsoft orchestration. But if I want to build my custom engine, that's going to be different, right? I am going to, yes, I need to have my enterprise account, but I'm going to have a custom prompt. I will decide how and when the customers are going to use. I can have specific triggers. So these custom engine agents, they can be executed at a particular time. They don't need to be real time. Right now, with a user, I can schedule this to happen. And I can also have custom semantic grounding, any data that I choose on my selection. So it provides me this extra capability. But don't forget the BYOM, bring your own model. Now, which development approach should we take? We did ask Copilot. Copilot gave us a few choices. Now, let's look at the behavior. This is the most important part. If I look at this chart, we have a couple items that I want to highlight. So from a development perspective, first, let's look at approach number one, Microsoft 365 with connectors and plugins. Low-hanging fruit, right? Any user who is already using their data, they can point to that data, maybe a SharePoint connection, maybe I have some documents, some websites they want to connect. Very easy for that. Simple, no-code approach, easy to implement. User experience, I have the behavior, my model capability, right? Model support, responsible AI, all built in. Now, the next one is extending Copilot with declarative agents. So now we are talking about being able to go in and customize with those. Again, maybe I can use a chatbot, direct control over the prompting behavior. Again, I don't need to worry about multimodal capability because this is a single option that I have provided by the system, right? Both of these, everything is provided by the system. The model support, the responsible AI, it's already built in, how it's going to be configured. Now, if I want to be able to build my own custom engine agent, now I need to do some planning, right? It is a little more complex. It's for the pros. It's almost like, hey, do I want to go machine learning? This is not machine learning. We are leveraging the AI that has already been trained. We don't need to. We can bring existing or even custom models that I created. But the base model, you are going to choose on that. Multiple data sources. I can use Microsoft Teams, other support. Now in this case, multimodal. If I want to go multimodal, yes, I would need to use a custom engine there. So I can begin to see these capabilities, particularly 3 items that I want to point out: behavior, instruction, and the foundational model. If I am doing the approach of simply extending 365, I don't need to worry about this. I have no direct control over that. Microsoft took care of that for me. It's a SaaS service. I don't need to configure that. Direct control over prompting behavior. I can do that with my custom agents. But if I go with a custom engine agent, I can decide on everything. I have direct flexibility to dictate the control of my model, the temperature, for example, if it is going to be, chat easy or it's going to be complex, the agent behavior, all of that under your control. Another item that I want to point out when we make these decisions is going to be the multimodal capability, as I mentioned. That means I have one agent, but I want to be able to have agents that are different, maybe 2 or 3 agents combined to be able to do something else. Then that multimodal capability, I can customize that with the custom engine. And lastly, if I look at the model support, it's provided by the system, but here I need to choose my foundational model. You are going to choose OpenAI, or if you have a different model, you can leverage that as well. Now, from a development tool perspective, which tool should I use? That'll be the next question. Now, when we are making a decision, we mentioned that you as a developer, your journey on this development goal will be based on your coding skills, your experience. You're going to choose the tool based on whether you are a seasoned coder, you are familiar with this, or if you prefer a no-code. I myself, I can do C#, I can do Python, but I prefer drag and drop. I love to just drag it and drop. It's much easier. So the low code or no code helps me make it easier for other people to follow what I'm trying to do. I don't need to teach them the coding aspect of that. So the options for this extensibility in building and so forth is going to be based on your comfort zone. Low code or no code approach, Copilot Studio is there, easy to use. I can rapidly begin to select my model. I want it to be able to simply create a prompt or change the behavior. It's already there. Now, Pro Code, if I want to extend 365, I'm looking at the Teams extension kit. I can also be looking at Visual Studio Code. That's going to be great. The example that I'm going to give you for the lab, we are going to leverage both of them. We're going to leverage the Team extension kit, for example. Now, building custom engines. We are going to start with Copilot. If it is low code, I can start with Copilot Studio. Awesome. Easy to use, low-hanging fruit. I can do it right now. Or I can really go deep. Now we can look at the Teams toolkit. I can look at Visual Studio. We can also look at the Teams AI library. Azure OpenAI Studio, or in this case, we are talking about the Foundry. I did mention that we changed names, so AI Foundry. So it's going to be up to us. How do we want to do this? Complex or easy? We need to make a decision on that. Another way that I look at this from a perspective of creating the declarative agents, we talk about the packages, right? So you can select your preferred tool, provide them. You can see a list of some of the tools that I can use, and I can then choose what's more appropriate for what I want to be able to develop. So for an enterprise, we are looking for customized tools, customized agents, customized library, customized LLMs. Well, we're going to go to the very customization approach. So if I look at the Teams toolkit, I can have declarative agents. I can leverage the custom agents. I can also leverage the graph and the API. But if I want to use the Teams AI library to customize my apps within Teams, only custom engine agents. Copilot Studio, awesome. I can use this in declarative agents, and I can use in graph connectors. So with the Copilot Studio, I can now go in SharePoint and create an agent, and then I can customize that in Studio. I can also go in to my Teams, create an agent, and I can customize that. Our Copilot Studio Agent Builder, this is easy, low code, easy to configure. So declarative agents allows me on that. Now SharePoint. If I have a SharePoint site, a document, I want to create an agent for that SharePoint site, I am going to use declarative agents, right? It's going to be easy, low-hanging fruit. I can quickly create that agent for that document or a set of documents. Now, if I want to use Azure OpenAI, we are going to be looking at custom engine agents. And finally, I can also use third parties. So if I look at Kyoto, for example, I want to be able to generate a specific plugin. Well, API plugin. There we go. So I can have a choice based on the complexity or based on the extensibility that I want my Copilot to take shape. In this case, my agents to take shape. Now, the next question we would have is, what are the use cases that the customer would be using this? I have two use cases that I want to relate to you. First, I'm going to look at KPMG. So KPMG, working with hundreds of customers, hundreds of organizations, they want to make sure that it's a safe environment for their customers. So be able to look at the developers as the developers have a particular set of documents. So the challenge here for them was, as you can see, I put it in bold, in Australia, to be able to prepare the client. I have a particular set of documents. I want to prepare my client based on that requirement. Will this affect me? How can this legislation or this content affect me? I can compare those. And the solution they found in there was exactly this. For the ESG, which is when we talked about, environmental or social, or in this case, environmental, social, and governance, how can we get those aligned and compared? Intrinsically, I may have multiple documents, hundreds of that. So the solution here is leverage Copilot to be able to compare these documents, provide a comprehensive summary. And the benefit, of course, really extending this very low customization allows to discover, automate, do the time constraints. Right? So this comparison between the documents that Copilot provides can really help the customer. This is one example that we did, right? Be able to do that across multiple documents with a custom agent. Another example would be Air India. So Air India is about a little over 90 years old, right? A legacy airline. So in this case, if we think about an airline wants to be able to help customers. So create an agent that will be able to allow them to unlock the idea that, hey, now customers can have this conversation. can be more proactive. Hey, my flight, is that on time? Is that a change? Right? So I can begin to have a conversation with that. So the challenge here is be able to provide customers with insights about their content. Right? At the same time, begin to grow the extensibility is that I can have, instead of hiring an army of this, I can have an army of agents to be able to assist with that. So the solution here, be able to deliver essential data, essential configuration insights to the customers about their flights, about their conditions. And the benefit, of course, be able to analyze large, vast amount of data and be able to help humans, in this case, provide best service, because now it gives you this capability, speed of the insights for the customers. So 2 examples that I want to point out that yes, I can create extensible agents, low code, that allows us to be upfront, to be transformative in our journeys. How can I secure my data? We mentioned about this in terms of privacy. One of the concerns that we have when it relates to working with the AI is the question, is my data safe? Right? So Copilot, built with Microsoft comprehensive approach to, we're talking about security and governance, right? So the strong Microsoft 365 foundation to security, governance, and compliance is there. I'm using, that means that all the boundaries, if my configuration, the administrator, my organization said from a security perspective, this is what you can see, this is what you can do. If I'm using Copilot, maybe even the DLP capabilities, right? This data protection. Oh, this document is secret, you can't see it. Copilot won't be able to see it. So this enterprise data protection from data encryption, from the labeling, and of course, the responsible AI is built in. We also look at the access control. If the data is mine, I can work with it. If it is shared with me, I can work with this. If the information label is in there, it allows me to work with this data, I can do with this. Right? It can be managed appropriately based on these access control. At the same time, the agent governance. Now we can have insights of the use of Copilot. I can track the customization of these, the life cycle. I can also look at the policies. If I put a policy in place, no, you cannot use this, then it's not going to be used, right? I can do auditing on this. So not only we can leverage the enterprise approach that we have put in place, and it's been there for a long time, now we can also have insights of the use of our Copilot and our agents, really increasing that capability for us. Assure that our deployment is secure, is reliable, and it is managed. Let's put it this way. So let's do another model knowledge check for this second module. Very much like we did the first one. Okay? This time, I am not going to give you right or wrong answer. I'm going to pick an answer and let's ask Copilot if that's going to be the right or the wrong answer. Okay? So the same thing as we did before for a knowledge check. Let's ask Copilot to act as an expert. Expert in what? With 4 questions. So we're going to ask Copilot to be an expert in Microsoft Copilot. Ask 4 multiple choice questions about Microsoft 365, the extensibility path, the development approach, the tools, the security, right, to ensure privacy. And we want all of those questions to be asked at the same time and then wait for our response and then give us an explanation. Let's see it in action. Here we are in Copilot. Let's run our prompt for our knowledge check. And there it is. As an expert, Copilot, tell us about these capabilities. Very well. And there comes the questions. Question number 1. What is the primary benefit of extending Microsoft 365 Copilot? Enhance user interface, improve data storage, increase productivity through custom solution, or better email management. I do not believe it is better email management, although you could have a lot better email management by asking Copilot to. You can do that. But that's not the intent in here. We are talking about the benefit of extending Microsoft 365 Copilot. So my answer is going to be, let's do productivity through custom solution. I was going to go for A. Let's go for enhanced user interface. Not true. Which of the following is a key component in the path for extensibility in Microsoft 365? Custom themes, API integration, manual data entry, or offline access. All right, let's go to B on this one. And the third one, what development approach is recommended for creating extensions for Microsoft 365? Well, we have the waterfall model, we have the agile, we have the V, or we have the spiral. All right, let's go for B on the extensibility. Oh, sorry. Let's go back in here and do a B. And the third one, the fourth one, which tool is essential for developing extensions for Microsoft 365 Copilot? Is that Microsoft Word, Visual Studio Code, Microsoft Paint, or Notepad? That was an easy hanging fruit, isn't it? All right, low hanging fruit. Let's go for B on this one as well. And now let's see which one we did not get right. Just as we did before, let's ask Copilot to be the expert for us. All right, question number one. It was related to what is the primary benefit of extending Microsoft 365 Copilot? We said A, enhanced user interface. We knew it was wrong, right? B, no. C is the correct one. Increase productivity through custom solution. We are extending our own data, customized data, or customized plugins or graph. We're extending that capability. 2, which of the following is a key component in the path for extensibility in Microsoft 365? We said B for API, and your answer is B, API. That's correct. All right, number 3, what development approach is recommended for creating extensions for Microsoft 365? We said Agile. That was a no-brainer. I don't want to say no-brainer, but that was an easy, low-hanging fruit, right? When we talk about the cloud and we talk about Copilot, we talked about, fast delivery is usually Agile methodology. And lastly, which tool is essential for developing extensions for Microsoft 365? We said B, Visual Studio, and the answer is correct. In fact, we are going to leverage Visual Studio in the next learning path for the extensibility. In this module, we covered the extensibility options for Microsoft 365 Copilot. It included declarative agents. We talked about the custom engine agents, plugins, and connectors. It also emphasized understanding project needs, development tools, and data privacy. Now, with this knowledge, you can make informed decision to how to extend your Copilot, right? To ensure that you have accomplished your goal to extend it, but also to be more secure. So in this case, we are now going to take another 10-minute break, and when we come back, we are going to start learning path number 2, where we're going to begin to do this work. We're going to go through the lab and develop our agents.